Welcome into episode 8 of Staying in the House, powered by gopherhole.com. I'm Daniel House. 5 Gophers players were selected in this weekend's NFL draft, which sets the program's record in the modern draft era. And the trend looks like it could continue going into the future. Mel Kiper, before Saturday's draft, mentioned Tanner Morgan and Rashad Bateman as potential 2021 prospects. So you're seeing Minnesota's program getting out on the big stage and producing NFL caliber talent. Tampa Bay, Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tyler Johnson teaming up together. New York, Carter Coughlin and Chris Williamson joining each other. And then Kemal Martin heading to the Green Bay Packers in the 5th round. And today I wanted to walk through some of the prospect fits for the Gophers as they transition to the NFL. And when looking at it from a broad scale, I love some of the destinations these Gopher players ended up at, and they'll truly be maximized in the schemes that they're going to be within. So let's start with Antoine Winfield Jr., safety, one of the best prospects in the NFL draft. I had him as the number 1 graded safety, heading to Tampa Bay at pick number 45, and no safeties were selected in the first round. So Winfield naturally slid down the draft board. I said between 25 and 50 was the sweet spot, and I thought he had the talent to be a first-round pick. So Buccaneers had a great draft. You look at Tristan Wirfs, Antoine Winfield Jr., and then getting Tyler Johnson later. The Bucs added instant impact talent, and Winfield can come in right away and compete for the starting safety job. Bruce Arians even mentioned the idea of him playing nickel cornerback and even helping in the return game. So as I was thinking about preparing to talk about this, I thought instantly about Todd Bowles' defensive scheme the minute Antoine Winfield Jr. was selected. Bowles is one of the more creative defensive coordinators in the NFL. He loves to disguise coverages. So you'll see cover 2 pre-snap, and then when the ball is snapped, they'll move to a different coverage scheme, play single high. You see cover 3, cover 1, cover 2. He relies on his safety's versatility, being able to play the deep half and move into the box. So Winfield is reliable in that category, and being able to match up in the modern era against tight ends and even shiftier slot receivers, because teams are so creative with spacing and passing concepts. So I pulled out some clips from Todd Bowles to show you some of the diverse coverage schemes. You can see being able to play the deep half is so important in his coverage schemes. They love to get creative with the front 7, bring a lot of aggressive pressures, and they play a lot of man-to-man coverage with their cornerbacks. So Winfield's ball skills will be an integral part of Todd Bowles' defensive scheme, knowing that he can do so many creative things, rob him in the middle of the defense and have him jump some of those intermediate routes, and then being able to be aggressive with your coverage scheme, knowing that you have a safety that has the instincts and the ball skills to jump a lot of those vertical routes that are coming up the field consistently. So Todd Bowles being able to have a chess piece like this in his defense, he has to be loving it. And Bruce Arians identified him instantly, Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tyler Johnson, at the Outback Bowl. He said he was with his son and watched the two perform, and obviously had insight because he was able to watch them perform in person, which is so valuable. Winfield, love the fit, 2nd round value, has a chance to really cement himself as one of the top young safeties in the league. He'll be competing against Mike Edwards for the starting safety spot. Maybe he plays nickel, as Bruce Arians was alluding to, but you got to love the fit. Todd Bowles is going to maximize Antoine Winfield Jr. at the next level. Tyler Johnson, next selection, round 5, pick number 161. And I couldn't believe he slid down the board that far, but with the wide receiver talent, we knew this was a possibility. Tyler was unable to have a pro day to run, so teams maybe didn't have the verifiable testing metrics that they wanted. And not only that, but he didn't do anything at the combine in terms of testing. So maybe that slid him down the board, but the fit is perfect. It all worked out for a reason. Production. Tyler Johnson, and I pulled out some stats, and I don't think people really realize the type of impact that he had on the Gophers program. You look at PFF pulling out all these advanced statistics, 94.7 grade against single coverage since 2017, which ranks 1st among NFL draft wide receivers in this class. 32 contested catches since 2018, which is 2nd most in college football during that time span. And then Johnson ranks number 1 in slot receiving yards per route run, 3.49 yards. So Tyler has all of the tools to be successful, but it's fit so much in the NFL is related to that. And I love what he's going to be walking into. Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay this offseason. Rob Gronkowski getting traded. So you have him stretching the seam. You've got Mike Evans, a premier receiver on the perimeter. Chris Godwin, who emerged last year, being able to play in the slot and outside. And then Tyler Johnson. He's going to get a lot of favorable matchups because teams will have to dedicate coverage resources to Mike Evans, a vertical stretch guy. Chris Godwin, who's a quick, has very quick feet and is able to get open in the intermediate game. And then you got someone like Gronk who stretches the seam. Johnson's going to get a lot of favorable situations and matchups in the Tampa Bay offense. And he fits the mold of a Bruce Arians slot wide receiver, a little bit bigger than a normal slot receiver, detailed route runner. I'm so excited to see what Tyler can do in the scheme. And when you watch Tyler's highlights, you see someone who can get open in the short to intermediate game. And that's something that they're looking for. They want someone that can complement all of the weapons that they have in their offense. And with Brady's ability to be such a cerebral quarterback, Gronkowski in the red zone, stretching teams and teams needing to dedicate a lot of coverage resources to him, Johnson's going to get so many great coverage matchups, one-on-ones in the intermediate game, and then you're going to see that route running take over. And the contested catch ability, like I said, 32 contested catches since 2018, which is second most in college football. Detailed route runner. You're getting everything that you want in a wide receiver in the 5th round. Steal for the Tampa Bay Bucks. They made 2 picks from Minnesota in this draft, Antoine Winfield Jr., like I said earlier, and Tyler Johnson. Productive players that slid down the draft board, didn't get as much attention that they probably deserved. And they're going to be on a mission to prove that teams passed up on them and made a big mistake. Bruce Arians, steals of the draft in Tyler Johnson and Antoine Winfield Jr. Next pick, Kemal Martin going to the Green Bay Packers in round 5, pick number 175. And like I said, Kemal Martin entering the draft, I didn't know what to expect. Where was his value? He wasn't able to work out at the Combine or the Senior Bowl, did interviews down there, but teams fired up the tape and they saw the production. 8 games last year is all he played in due to injuries, but he still was second on the team in tackles with 66. I know I'll probably have a lot of Packer fans watching this video. Love the fit again for Kemal Martin. The Packers were looking for inside linebacker play. Last year, one of the big issues was having guys get run out of gaps, poor tackling. By picking Kemal Martin, you're able to address a lot of those issues because Kemal Martin, one of his strengths is tackling in space. He doesn't miss tackles. He wraps up extremely well. He'll fit the inside linebacker position the Packers are trying to address. Oren Burks has been so dinged up and inconsistent. So Kemal Martin could be thrust into a pretty large role early on in his career. If not, he can contribute on special teams right away. Green Bay knew they had to really add some talent at the inside linebacker position, and Kemal Martin went earlier than people anticipated, but few things that stand out. He got bigger, more physical last year, so he's able to take on blocks and help in the running game, and Green Bay wants to get better here. You watch that game against the 49ers, the linebacker play was poor, people getting run out of gaps, undisciplined play. Kemal not only has the run defense ability, but he can cover. He can play the deep, play the underneath zones and help you out there. He had a lot of production in getting into passing lanes because of his length and athleticism and his range. He'll be able to be used creatively in the defensive scheme as well because the Packers can send him off stunts and blitzes and things like that. Joe Rossi moved Kemal Martin all around in the defense. So Green Bay is getting someone that can play a lot of different roles in the defense. It might take some time for him to adjust, and hopefully he can stay healthy, but the fit in the defense definitely is strong, and he could compete for inside linebacker time right away. After listening to Matt LaFleur talk and Brian Gutekunst, I feel confident that Kemal Martin's going to come in right away and possibly compete for playing time because they want to upgrade the inside linebacker position desperately, and they want to find guys that can tackle and are disciplined. Kemal Martin has shown that in his career. So keep an eye on Kemal Martin potentially playing a larger role than people anticipated during the draft process. Then we move ahead to round 7. Carter Coughlin going to the New York Giants at pick number 218. Carter Coughlin, during the whole draft process, they said, what fit is the best for him? And we had a lot of debates on social media about it. Is he a 3-4 hybrid inside linebacker type, or is he a 4-3 Sam linebacker? Well, it all worked out, folks. Him going to the New York Giants couldn't have been a better fit, because Joe Judge was just talking about them being multiple in their defensive schemes. He wouldn't commit to a specific alignment, whether it was a 3-4 system, a 4-3 with him playing Sam. We don't know, because they're going to maximize the personnel that they have and play a lot of different looks. And that suits Carter Coughlin well because of his pass rush productivity that he had at Minnesota. He can help there. As a blitzer, you can use his athleticism creatively. He can cover. He's going to be playing in a defensive scheme where Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator who's coming from the Miami Dolphins, wasn't super aggressive. He didn't send a lot of blitz pressure. He likes to play underneath coverage pretty consistently, so you're going to be in dime and nickel quite a bit. He's going to be asking Carter Coughlin to cover underneath, and with his athleticism and skills that he can bring as a blitzer, his past pass rushing productivity, I like the fit and believe that Carter Coughlin could play multiple different roles in the scheme. If they decide to play 4-3, he could be a Sam linebacker and develop into that, or he can be a 3-4 inside linebacker, bring him in on pass rushing downs to help you out. The sky is really the limit in terms of what you can do with a guy that has this type of athleticism and the background that he did in Minnesota's defensive scheme. So multiple roles, with the defensive alignments being so uncertain of what they're going to do. Joe Judge is going to find a way to maximize his potential. Carter Coughlin, special teams right away, possibly rotating in on pass rushing downs to help you get after the quarterback. Chris Williamson was selected in round 7, pick number 247. And like I said earlier, Patrick Graham is not a very aggressive defensive coordinator. He doesn't send a lot of pressure. So I went out and looked at Sports Info Solutions and saw the tendencies. 31% dime package usage, 31% nickel package usage last season with the Miami Dolphins. So Chris Williamson couldn't be a better fit. Leading up to the draft, I talked about him playing a dime hybrid role, possibly being that linebacker / nickel corner / safety in a defense. And this is the type of role they're going to ask him to play, with all the coverage schemes that they like to deploy that Graham will use. They're going to be relying on Chris Williamson's versatility, and that's something that could help him make the team. If he can contribute on special teams, come in on a rotational basis when they're playing dime more. High dime package frequency was the thing that I was looking for in terms of fit for Chris Williamson, and he landed in the perfect spot. I said the blitzing ability is something that always stood out with Chris Williamson. You can use him around the box. You can bring him up, send him off nickel pressure. The Gophers just maximized his potential quite consistently throughout the course of his career. He's matched up against some of the most dynamic weapons the Gophers came up against, like Rondale Moore, KJ Hamler. KJ Hamler, the play that always stands out to me is this Penn State game where he displayed excellent technique, knocking the ball away. One of the more underrated plays of the entire year. You look at him being able to knock that pass away and the potential run that Penn State was having at that moment in the game. He's a fluid mover. He can play a lot of different roles. He's physical. He could play safety, nickel, hybrid dime cornerback role. And then you see things like this where he can come in and nickel blitz and impact the timing of throws. Chris Williamson is going to be a creative chess piece in Patrick Graham's defense. Joe Judge is going to find ways to maximize Coughlin and Williamson, who can do different things, play different roles, and they have past experience in multiple different schemes because of the past staff at Minnesota and the current one that they just played within. Not only were 5 Gopher players selected in the draft, but 2 others signed undrafted free agent contracts after the draft was completed. Running back Rodney Smith is heading to the Carolina Panthers. Matt Rule ran a lot of outside zone heavy concepts with a blend of power at Temple and Baylor. So Rodney Smith, like we talked about in the video, has so much experience in the zone concepts and thrived off outside zone. So he should be a really great fit in the Carolina system. I'm looking at the Panthers depth chart: Reggie Bonifant, Jordan Scarlett, Mike Davis. There's definitely an opportunity for Rodney Smith to carve out a role. You look at his versatility as a kick returner, a pass protector, pass catcher out of the backfield, which wasn't maybe maximized all that much at Minnesota, but he definitely has the tools to do that. The zone concepts, being able to run out of those, and his versatility are two traits that could help him carve out a spot on the roster as an RB3 to complement Christian McCaffrey. Sam Renner signed an undrafted free agent contract with the LA Rams, and he'll be playing within a 3-4 defensive scheme. So the biggest question is, what does his role look like? Is he a defensive end or a 3-technique defensive tackle on a rotational basis? You look at Morgan Fox playing behind Michael Brockers right now at the defensive end position. Renner could push for playing time there and carve out a role on special teams. Or is there an opportunity where he's a rotational player behind Aaron Donald, learning from one of the best 3 techniques to ever play in the NFL? Either way, he's going to gain valuable experience. Coaches will love his football IQ. He was on with me breaking down the Nebraska game, talking about how he sets up moves and the importance of studying and his habits in that area. So I encourage you to check that out. He can be disruptive. He had an 85 tackling grade according to PFF, which ranks second behind Derek Brown among interior defensive tackle prospects. So Renner has the history of being disruptive and versatile. Now it's going to come down to how he fits in the Rams defense and their scheme. Gophers had a lot of prospects that landed in favorable destinations. Almost all of them could contribute right away. Antoine Winfield Jr. might be a starter in the Tampa Bay defense. Tyler Johnson is going to be a threat out of the slot with all the options that the Bucs currently have in their offense. And then Kemal Martin could play immediately. Oren Burks, there's so much uncertainty about his health and his performance. So if they're looking for a tackler who can come in and play inside linebacker and also contribute on special teams, Kemal Martin could play earlier than people are anticipating. I anticipate Carter Coughlin and Chris Williamson to be rotational players early on in their careers. But Joe Judge and Patrick Graham, how will they use them in the defense? We discussed that earlier, but they definitely fall within the scheme that they're looking to run, being multiple and also having the versatility to do a couple different things in the defense. And then Rodney, does he carve out a role as a running back 3 in the Carolina Panther system? And then Renner working in as a rotational defensive tackle. So you'll be able to stay busy watching NFL games. And luckily, a couple Gophers went together on the same team. So it's going to be real easy to watch them this fall. I wanted to walk through some of the fits today. So thanks for tuning in and checking it out. I wanted to encourage you guys to like and subscribe to Gopher Hole on YouTube. It helps us out. It's completely free. So if you could take some time to do that, that would be amazing. Follow me on Twitter at Daniel House NFL for the latest NFL draft recaps, looking ahead to the season, Gophers breakdowns, Gopher basketball content, anything that you're looking for related to the Vikings or University of Minnesota athletics. I've got it on my Twitter feed at Daniel House NFL. And as always, go over to gopherhold.com for the latest news and discussions on our forum board. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.